Hi everyone, my name is Annan Wang, and today for Hack on the Hill 10's workshop series, we'll be going over Hackathons 101. So starting off, what is HOTH and why are you here? HOTH is designed to be a beginner-friendly hackathon that allows you to pick skills up quickly, work on a cool side project, meet new friends, and ultimately have a great time while you're doing it. For team formation, if you already have a team coming in, you're set. But if you don't, you should join our team formation activity at the beginning of the hackathon, reach out to people on Discord, and post your idea if you already have one and see if anyone else is interested. If you don't have an idea, here are some tips for coming up with ideas. The first is to get inspired by our themes. The second is to work on a project that you think could be better. The third is to think about what is something that you would personally use. And finally, we want you to be inclusive when thinking about ideas. In terms of changing an idea, like later on in the hackathon, don't be afraid to modify your idea. It's all about the presentation, and we won't even know at the end if you pivoted halfway through. One major thing to think about when you're working on your project is to keep in mind about version control, which is a way for your team to collaborate on the same codebase without losing track of changes. We'll have a Git workshop video, and if you haven't worked with Git before, I would highly recommend starting here. The second is to use an API. This is a tip that we have for getting a project up to speed quickly, which stands for an application programming interface, or using someone else's code. An example of this is using Google Maps, voice recognition, or something along those lines, and this can be a great starting point for a project idea. Another recent example that's very popular would be GPT-3, where ChatGPT is built on top of that, so potentially you can make an idea based off of some sort of natural language processing. In terms of writing ugly code, we have an example of this on the right. Messy code is definitely okay, and comments are your best friend. As long as you understand what's happening, because it's a hackathon, we understand if you're throwing something together really quickly, or if this is the first time doing it. And even in production code in like the real world, when you're working on an internship, everybody's code starts off looking like this, and eventually you clean it up so that other people can read it. This is, I think, perhaps the best piece of advice, which is if you have questions, ask for help. We'll have mentors, officers from ACM walking around. If you have any questions, definitely reach out and ask, and we'll do our best. The second is to look at some online resources. Our favorite website is Stack Exchange, and many times you can just copy the paste the code and it'll work. And finally, we have a series of Hack on the Hill X workshops, from the intro to Git that I mentioned earlier to intro to front end and back end and so on and so forth. When it comes to presenting the demo at the end of the hackathon, presentation is everything. So we want you to talk about the entire process leading up to your team finishing the project, including your journey, some technical overview of the technologies that you used, the scope for the scalability, and finally some future developments on other features that you would add if you had the time. We want you to get creative and don't hold anything back. Finally, for once Hack on the Hill finishes, that doesn't mean that your project has to stop at the place that it is. We want you to put this on your resume or GitHub, especially if you won a an award. Recruiters love to be able to hear about like some of the projects that you worked on outside of your time, and if you won an award, that's just a cherry on top. And finally, keep working on your project. Hopefully you chose something that you really enjoy working on, even outside of on Hack on the Hill, and so you can turn that into a side project or even a business if you so choose. All right, that's it for us. We hope you have fun, and last but not least, ask questions. If you need help, find us, look around the mentors, and we'll be happy to help.